Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my fiance's sister she needs to be more healthy to be my bridesmaid? Throw away. Before I start this post, I would like to clarify that I love my fiance's sister like my own. I want this to be stated because I know the title is pretty bad. I, 29 female, am getting married to my fiance, 32 male, in June of 2027. We have been planning for a couple of months now, and previous to our engagement, he told me he was going to propose so I could be ready. I hate surprises and he knows that. I'm very close with my future sister-in-law and the rest of the family. Over the years, she's become a best friend and sister I never had. And I love her. When I found out I was going to be proposed to, I asked my fiancé if he would be okay with his sister as one of my bridesmaids. He said that it was fine, and I asked her, and she said yes. Recently, she stopped coming to Pilates with me, which was weird since we've been going together multiple times a week for a couple of years now. I also noticed she started eating very unhealthily, which is also weird because she was a major health nut. She recently downloaded TikTok, which I found surprising, as she has no social media. But I followed her on there. After following her for a bit, I saw she was reposting mukbangs. Last week I viewed her account and saw that every one of her reposts was these mukbangs. I feel like the videos are influencing her to make bad decisions with her health. She was very fit a while ago, but it seems she's become addicted to her phone. It is very sad for me to say this because she was such an active woman with me before downloading TikTok. After I saw these reposts, I tried to ask her nicely, without prying, if these videos were influencing her. I told her that I understand that mental health is fragile sometimes, and I don't want to upset her if she's suffering in silence. But I'm wondering about her health. I then mentioned how she has gained so much weight in the past 2 months. And I'm scared if she continues down this path, something bad will happen to her. I really hope I did not come off as mean or a bully when I said this to her, but I then told her that if she wants to be one of my bridesmaids, she needs to come back to the gym with me and work on herself. I should also mention she's a type 1 diabetic, and this type of eating is even worse for her compared to the average person. I'm extremely worried because I have gone down a path of binge eating myself during my teenage years. I became pre-diabetic at the age of 15, and I do not want her to jeopardize her health any longer. All that to say that after I told her my concerns, she got angry and told me she was not going to attend the wedding anymore. My fiancé and future mother-in-law tried to reason with her and voiced their own concerns about her health, but to no avail. I've not spoken with her in a few days now because she's ignoring me and my fiancé. I'm not sure about my mother-in-law, and honestly, I feel terrible about the whole thing, but I'm concerned about her in this path she's going down. So, do you actually care about her health, or do you care about her being a bridesmaid? Because it's really hard to tell, especially because that's what your title is, and that's what you approached her with. Oh, well, if you keep this up, you're not going to be one of my bridesmaids. Yeah, I'm really sure that's helping her quite a bit with what she's going through. Like, she could be going through some severe, just mental fuckery right now and is not having a good time, and what does she get on top of all of this? Oh, well, if you keep this behavior up, you're definitely not going to be one of my bridesmaids. I'm sure that's not compounding anything at all. I really hope that this is just some kind of slip up and you just didn't think before you spoke. But I can't believe this to be the case with how whimsical you are in the first few paragraphs and that being your title, and you seem to have no remorse for what you said to her. You could have approached this 100 different ways, but instead you made her mental health crisis about your wedding, and how if she keeps this up, she's not going to be a part of it. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole, and also gathered by Sadly the Worst. Am I the asshole for not going to 2 important family weddings this year? I, 37 female, am not attending 2 important family events this year. The first is my daughter's, 19, on April 18th. Due to me having prior engagements at my church planned months prior, I take my commitments seriously, and I never cancel plans unless I am physically ill. My daughter explained that her and my dad both planned the rushed wedding, since they don't like her living in sin. Even though my parents knew I already had these plans, my dad suggested I just switch my arrangements to the next day since they're having something similar, but in Spanish. I told them I prefer my church and I don't like attending services in Spanish. Also, no one included me in the planning of this wedding, even though I am her mom. The second wedding is my older brother's, 40. He wants to get married this summer in August. There are several issues I have with this one. The first one being he barely knows her. He met her this past summer in August as well. I pointed out to him that this time last year, he was telling another woman he loved her. So it's hard to believe he's in love again. It feels like he's rushing because his future wife is refusing to be intimate unless they get married. Another issue I have is that weddings take money, including for the guests, and the money I currently have is the money I've been saving for years for my dream vacation to Greece to celebrate myself for raising 2 girls on my own. Another factor is that the wedding will be held in my hometown where I used to live with my abusive ex-husband, and going there stirs up past trauma. I have apologized to both my daughter and brother and told them I would not be attending because timing is not good for me. Now the rest of the family is upset with me except for my younger daughter. They're saying that I make things difficult, that I'm a bad mother for not changing plans, and that I'll regret this decision in the future. I already thought about it, and I'm okay with that. Am I the asshole? Update. I've read the comments and I get it. According to the votes, I'm the asshole. However, after considering everything, I'm still not persuaded to attend either wedding. I will be reaching out to my daughter to find out the time and see if both events can be done. That being said, I'm okay with not going. I've sacrificed and shown up for family in many ways and will continue to do so, but this is a boundary I'm not moving. I've come to terms to agree to disagree with all of you. Some of the criticism made sense, some didn't, but I appreciate everyone's input. It took you asking Reddit for you to even think, maybe I should check to see if these events are even compatible on the same day. Like, at that point in time, it's just obvious you don't want to fucking go to the wedding. Like, seriously. I can understand maybe not wanting to go to your brother's wedding for the fact alone of I don't want to return to my hometown. That makes sense, but you're just piling on excuses. From, well, I got this dream vacation to Greece coming up, and, he's just marrying her too quickly, and I don't want to go. But also, what would your church friends think if you said, oh yeah, I skipped my daughter's wedding to be here? I'm sure all of them would slow pan towards you and ask the collective question of, what the fuck did you just say? Like, a wedding is a pretty monumental time in her life. And you're just kind of taking this as, I've already sacrificed enough. I'm going to Greece. I already have commitments. What am I gonna do? There's also a lot more to this of the fact of her father, the daughter's grandfather, pressured OP to get married early to her now abusive husband who she divorced, and now he's doing the same thing to her daughter. And she's just putting her hands up of, I'm not involved apparently, I'm not gonna go. I'm not even gonna try to defend my daughter. I'm not gonna do anything to keep her safe. I'm not even gonna be there as emotional support. I'm just gonna wipe my hands clean and go to Greece because I raised 2 daughters on my own. Have fun getting married, loser. Anyways, sadly the worst, who cross-posted this, also grabbed a shit ton of OP's comments. More than I have time to read because it would culminate to an ungodly amount of time. So I went through and I cherry-picked my favorite ones that they grabbed, and we're gonna take a look at those ones. You're the asshole. Celebrating raising your 2 daughters, yet you won't even go to your own daughter's wedding? At some point, everyone makes sacrifices. Jesus certainly did. It's not like she specifically planned her wedding on a day she specifically knew you had plans. Is your church event seriously more important? It's not about which event was planned first, it's about priorities. And you not making your daughter a priority will certainly have long-lasting and detrimental effects. And the other wedding? Sometimes you just have to suck it up and to be there for those you love. Your decisions here are coming off as extremely entitled and selfish. You sound like one of those people that claims to be a devout Christian but doesn't actually understand or live by the values. I do see your perspective, but things I left out were that my daughter is marrying someone she's not in love with. She's just doing it to please my parents. Therefore, I believe there will be a second wedding. And to my brother, I was at his first wedding, the only one in the family to go to. I believe there will be a third wedding, and I'll attend that. And to be honest, yes, I am being selfish for once in my life. All helping out and being there for others has gotten me stepped on and hurt. Cute to throw out the Christian, though. I didn't say I was perfect. See, not even trying to step in and help her daughter, just, she'll have a second wedding. She'll make the same mistakes I did. She's being pressured by my parents. What am I gonna do about it? Be her mother. Also, those are some really fucky, underhanded comments you're making towards your brother. Next comment. Celebrate being a good mom by skipping your daughter's wedding. Lamau. That doesn't take away the working hard to feed her, clothe her, take her on vacations, making sure she saw a therapist when she was struggling, and everything else that a good mom does. Except go to her wedding. To which someone responds, yeah, that's your legal responsibility, not her decision. You can't use your legal obligation to your children against them. Legal responsibility is food and clothes, not vacations, sleepless nights, gifts, etc. Another comment. Hey, talk to the person at your church with whom you have your commitment. Tell them on such and such day your daughter is getting married, but you have made a commitment to be at the church and ask them for their advice. They will tell you to go to your daughter's wedding. That way, you can stay true to what you believe. You never cancel plans while still attending your daughter's wedding, because the people to whom you made the commitment will be more than happy to release you from it. OP responds, to be honest, I just don't want to go. Like everyone says, I come off judgmental, and it's because it's true. And I cannot sincerely be at both their weddings and hide that. And I also have bipolar disorder and have been off meds. I have to keep checking that my mental is okay and I don't end up in a hospital. I feel like I'm doing them a favor by staying away. Next comment. Okay, go be happy then. Just don't expect to have a grandmother role with your future grandkids / a major role in your daughter's life. I get having plans, but why the heck church events is more important than your child's wedding? You're the asshole. I was a teenage mom. The last thing I want is a grandmother role. I'm sorry if that hurts you. I'm choosing me. I went above and beyond for her, and she was ungrateful and is now throwing her life away. I'm sorry that I'm not cheering and clapping for her making the same mistake I did. Then help her! You already said that your parents are pressuring her to do this. Step in and be a mom. Literally just throwing your hands up. What you gonna do about it? Another comment. 1. So you're bipolar, but are off meds. That would help with that. You should probably get back on them. Reading some of your other comments sounds like you don't even like your daughter. 2. Yet she's planning a trip to Greece to celebrate raising her children, which is her excuse for not attending her brother's wedding. For someone who attends church, she doesn't seem to have a good moral compass. To which OP responds with a single sentence. So, church-going people can't have personal boundaries? Hey, I think you should really go to your daughter's wedding. Oh, so I'm not allowed to have personal boundaries? Nice red herring. Another comment. You were a single teen mom who clearly dislikes children, has no concept of compromise or supporting family members during important moments of their life, and you are concerned about their life choices. Your ears are going to be burning during those weddings. So I should cancel my life every time one of my family members decides to make a rash decision? When will it ever be about me? No one is asking what pushed me to be this way. You said it is their life choices. Why do I need to uproot or inconvenience mine for their choices? Hey, so what is the event at your church specifically? Yeah, I'm not trying to go into detail to justify myself. Ma'am, I say this with full sincerity because you are off your medication, but please, remedicate yourself and reevaluate how you're approaching your daughter's wedding. Whether or not you attend it or try to talk her down from it, but please be involved here. Personally, for your brother's wedding, well, I think that you should maybe look at attending it. I do understand with that one not wanting to potentially re-expose yourself to trauma being back in your hometown. I can at least understand that one. But it certainly doesn't excuse your comments towards your brother about the wedding in the first place. Cross posted from r/drew off my chest. My son hates me, but I've never stopped caring and being there during his milestones. So yeah, this is going to be a long one, so I'll just start from the beginning. My first wife, deceased, and I had my son about a year after we got married. We were both 21 at the time. I still remember holding him for the first time, how he smelt, etc. My son and I were extremely close in the years to follow. My father was never around, and so I always craved to provide him with the father-son bond that I didn't have. It was safe to say that my bond with him was beyond even that. We'd spend our weekends together, go camping. When he entered his teenage years, he'd tell me which girl he liked. And there seemed to be a new one every day, lol. And it helped. He was 6 foot, blonde, and an all-around good-looking guy. Although I like to take credit for that. When he was 15, his mother got really sick. It was a super stressful time. She had a rare form of aggressive cancer that was terminal. Her battle lasted about a year from when we found it. The last few months, though, were really bad. She could barely talk and barely move. I'm ashamed to say that it was around then that I cheated on his mother. A colleague of mine was there for me at the time, and it just accelerated from there. And it was not a one-time thing, as my affair continued for months. My son found out a few weeks before his mother passed. He caught me and my colleague in the act when he came home early from school. I'll never forget the look on his face. It was like he was staring into the abyss. I hadn't seen him cry since he was 8 or 9, but in that moment, he was crying too. I knew then that my relationship with the son I loved more than anything would change forever. But even then, I had no idea how bad it would be. He decided not to tell her, I assume because he knew she would be heartbroken, and he didn't want her to pass with a broken heart. The period between her death and the funeral is a bit of a blur. But during that entire period, my son didn't speak a single word to me. Not a single word in a month. When the funeral ended and the two of us went home, he ran up into his room. I decided I'd try to properly talk to him. It's not like I didn't try before, but I felt like I needed to try again. When I walked up into his room, there was a suitcase on the bed, and he was packing. I knew then and there what was happening. His mother's life insurance paid out entirely to him. He was going to move out. I begged him not to go. I literally went on my knees and pleaded with him. I was sobbing and saying how sorry I was, how much I loved him, told him about the moment I first held him as a baby. But nothing. He didn't acknowledge me. Not a word. He left. He was 16 at the time and was legally allowed to leave. I went to a lawyer, but there was nothing I could do, especially when the affair was at the center of it all. The next few weeks and months were full of me begging him to talk to me, to come home. He stayed at a hotel initially, then moved in with his best friend and his family. He continued to go to school as usual. From then up, until he graduated high school, was essentially a combination of me trying to talk to him, apologizing, etc. I had some really low moments in that period. He wouldn't talk to me or acknowledge me. His aunties and uncles, his mother's siblings, who he was close with, tried to talk to him, but he refused to tell them about the cheating or even acknowledge me to them. I still don't quite know why he didn't tell them, to be honest. Fast forward to his school graduation. I wasn't invited, but I still went. I sat at the back so he wouldn't see me. He had told his auntie that if I came/if anyone told me, that he would leave the graduation. I took pictures and videos like the typical proud dad that I was, but I lost it when he went up to give the valedictorian speech. I had no idea he scored the highest in his class. In his speech, he paid tribute to his mother, how much he missed her, etc. Thanked his best friend and their family for taking him in. He didn't mention me at all. Nothing. It's like I didn't exist. I left that graduation so broken. I felt like a failure. I felt pathetic. I later learned through a friend that my son was going to be studying medicine and that he'd be going overseas to do so. It was then that I knew that I had to stop, that my mental health couldn't take it anymore. I decided then and there to try to live some semblance of a normal life again. I started dating again, and it felt great.
I always kept tabs on my son. I know it sounds lame, but I made a fake Facebook account to join the group chats that his university had. It was thanks to this that I was aware of when he was getting awards and scholarships for his outstanding performance. Even though it was in a different country, I went to every single award ceremony he was in. A total of 6. He never knew I was there, but I was. Even though he didn't want me in his life, and we hadn't spoken in years, I wasn't missing his milestones. So now we get to what the trigger was for me posting this. About a month ago, I found out my son had an award ceremony for winning an award. He was, at that time, a doctor. I decided to take my wife and the girls to the ceremony. About a 6-hour or so road trip. That's all it'll be. My daughters know they have a brother, know what he looks like. I always talk so proudly with them and my wife about him. So, my son accepted his award, etc. It was during this acceptance that I learned my son now had a wife and a son. When I asked my friends and relatives about it later, they told me that he had them swear that they wouldn't tell me, or he'd cut them off too. I was devastated. It felt like a gut punch. After he got off the stage, he was making the rounds to shake everyone's hand, engaging in small talk, etc. He didn't know I was there. I didn't inform the few family members I had that were going of our attendance. I decided it would be best to talk to him first, or try to, after all. He hasn't spoken a word to me in about 12 years. Well, it went really, really badly. Before I could go up to him, he saw me and my wife and daughters in the corner. He had a breakdown then and there. I felt terrible. We were told to leave, so I did. I just hope one day I can tell him that I never stopped loving him. I just hope that I can tell him that I never missed a day of importance in his life that I knew about. Maybe one day I'll tell him that I sleep with the stuffed bear that he used to sleep with when he was younger, just so I can feel close to him. I love you, son, and I always will. Edit, just fixing a part where I repeated the same paragraph twice. Edit 2, I've had people going through all my Reddit posts and saying this post here is fake because this and that. I returned to college to complete a master's in 2019 in Australia. I graduated at the end of last year. The reason I've gone through and deleted almost all of my previous posts is because, given the response I've received from 95% of people here, I don't think it's wise to have information on my profile that identifies where I lived, where I worked, what college I went to, and so on. And to the person who had gone through my profile and found out where I worked and tried to threaten me, go fuck yourself. I have so many questions after reading all of that. From why were you getting lawyers involved when your son was trying to leave despite him being 16 of age in your country, I assume? How fast the insurance payout happened? I'm guessing some countries' healthcare systems and insurance companies are actively more, friendly and not bastards. To, why are you so fixated on his smell, and why would you bring your family or innocence to his, ceremony when he's a doctor? And, were you expecting that because they were there, he wouldn't get mad at you and try to maintain pleasantries because he wouldn't want to, get them involved or something? I don't know why you would bring them as well. Just a random spur-of-the-moment road trip. But in any situation, if you have a terminally ill spouse and you cheat on them, you can't really play shocked or be surprised when members of your family who found out don't want anything to do with you. It's an incredibly revolting, selfish, and just downright devilish thing to do. I would ask, what did you expect would happen? But the thing is that you expected you would get away with it. That's just how these things usually go. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for playing mediator in a fight between my girlfriend and my friend over his past dark jokes? I, 20 male, from Brazil, am dealing with a situation in my friend group, and I'm caught right in the middle. A few years ago, my core group of friends and I started a 2-year IT course. There, we met a new group of people who eventually became our friends too. Here's the context. This new group of friends really does not like edgy or dark humor. My friends and I have to filter ourselves a bit, which was fine. However, One of my older friends, Gabriel, 20 male, has a very specific sense of humor. His jokes are mostly light, but sometimes they were heavier. For example, making a joke about how women belong in the kitchen washing dishes. To be fair to Gabriel, he usually kept these jokes strictly within our original circle of guys, and he actively avoided making them when the girls from the new group were present. However, they still managed to overhear them from afar sometimes or just knew about his humor. Because of this, the new group quietly rejected Gabriel. They tolerated him, but always with a rejection face. They never actually talked to him about it. Over the years, Gabriel matured, got better filters, and never targeted anyone specifically. Now, on to the main event. A few days ago, we went to a mutual friend's birthday party, about 14 of us, and Gabriel was on his best behavior. Quiet, no controversial jokes, nothing. During the party, we played Werewolves, a social deduction game. Someone randomly voted for Gabriel to be eliminated. My girlfriend, Melissa, 20 female, who is part of that newer group, agreed to vote him out. The host asked, "Why are you guys voting for him? It sounds like you have something against him." Melissa replied quietly, but loud enough for half of the table to hear, "Yes, actually, I have everything against him, and it's not just me." Gabriel was visibly upset. The host said that was uncalled for in public, but to avoid ruining the mood, we just kept playing. After the party, Gabriel texted our group chat, saying he felt extremely disrespected by Melissa's comment. "Here's where I might be the asshole. I tried to mediate the situation." I replied in the group chat, agreeing that Melissa's comment was unnecessary, especially since Gabriel hadn't done anything wrong that night. However, I also reminded Gabriel why she feels that way, and that even though she shouldn't have said it, she had her reasons. Gabriel got very angry at me. His defense is that his jokes were never directed at anyone. He kept them in his own circle, and if someone was bothered, they should have asked him to stop or left. Melissa found out what I said and is also pissed. She refuses to apologize, saying her comment wasn't a big deal, and that he has said much worse things in the past. Gabriel refuses to apologize for his past jokes because he feels he did nothing wrong. Neither will apologize, both think they're right, and now both are annoyed at me for my response. Am I the asshole? Ah yes, Gabriel is the one who feels disrespected here. By the way, you can't really just say, "Women belong in the kitchen," and then follow that up with, "Whoa, my jokes aren't targeting anyone." Okay. What's the first word with that, dude? Was it by chance women? Kind of implying that women aren't people there, bud. Also, speaking to OP here before we get to Gabriel, these aren't dark jokes, they're edgy and misogynistic jokes. Because the point of a joke is a punchline, by the way. What's the punchline to saying, "Women belong in the kitchen washing dishes"? What's the funny part of that? You're not aiming for a laugh, you're aiming to make people uncomfortable. And those who do laugh, well, bit of a different story. Now, a decade ago, God, that hurts to say, when I was an edgy 16-year-old and didn't really know better, I used to make edgy jokes, not really understanding the full context of everything. And when I would make those jokes, in my mind, it's, well, I'm not making fun of the marginalized group, I'm making fun of the people who make the jokes. And that was what I honestly, genuinely believed, that the humor was from making fun of the people who would make those jokes, and honestly believe that. My target was always the racist, the sexist, the homophobe, never the marginalized groups who those would target. The only issue is that from the outside looking in, what's the difference? How can you tell? And I would learn that lesson later, when a friend at the time of mine started to actually make comments in sincerity along the lines of the joke, and the realization hit of, well, if he believes this genuinely and is making those jokes, do people think that about me? That thought had never crossed my mind. No one had ever told me that the jokes made them uncomfortable. It was a really uncomfortable realization. A realization of who I accidentally surrounded myself with. I thought I surrounded myself with like-minded people, but so did they. And of course, I ended that friendship and started to change how I made jokes and changed how I approached my humor. It's hard to tell when someone makes these edgy jokes if they mean it or if they're making fun of the people who make them. I do know how to tell though. I do know the way that you can cut through the middle as someone who used to make those jokes almost a decade ago. And it's the reaction to being called out. Gabriel wasn't apologetic, wasn't trying to clarify, wasn't trying to even pull back or even adjust how the jokes were made. He just didn't make the jokes around the people anymore. Oh, he still made them. He just picked when and where to say them. And he got defensive when called out about them. If you have a problem with my jokes, just talk to me directly about it. Oh, you're being disrespectful to me by making comments like that. I don't need to apologize for the jokes. You're just a snowflake for being offended. This is a tricky tangent to talk about because for me, it is incredibly embarrassing to think back on this and to think back a decade ago to how I was and the mistakes I made. But when I listen and hear OP's post here, I'm instead reminded of the friend group that I walked away from all those years ago. And OP is trying to play mediator. Mediator for someone who has no apologies of their behavior, has made half of the friend group feel uncomfortable with their presence. Someone whose jokes directly target them despite saying otherwise. Someone who doesn't care that they've made those people uncomfortable and it's their problem. They're uncomfortable. It's not my fault I did so. You should talk to me directly. It's that whole thing of by not picking a side, you're sometimes picking a side. Oh boy, it's the outro. Don't forget, Gamer Subs, use code EYES at checkout for 10% off. I feel like I forget to keep mentioning that when you use code EYES, you get 10% off of your purchase, off of everything. But yeah, I hope y'all are taking care. It's been a weird couple of days for me being sick and trying to recover and all that kind of stuff. It's been exhausting. But I hope y'all are taking care, staying healthy, staying safe, and I'll catch y'all next time.